Life doesn't reward what you know, it rewards what you do. You can be sharp, educated, and full of ideas, yet still stand in the same place year after year if those ideas never turn into action. Intelligence may impress people in conversation, but action is what moves the needle in the real world. History has never kept score of who thought the most. It remembers who stepped forward and made things happen. A mind full of plans but empty of movement produces nothing. Life does not pause to admire potential, and it does not wait for perfect timing. It responds to effort, courage, and decision. When you take action, even imperfect action, life answers back. Doors begin to open, lessons reveal themselves, and momentum starts to build. Without action, even the brightest thinking fades into frustration and regret. Thinking feels safe, planning feels responsible. But too often, they become excuses to delay the very work that could change everything. Action is uncomfortable. It demands risk. It invites failure. Yet it is the only path that leads anywhere worth going. Progress has never been polite. It has always been driven by people willing to move before certainty arrived. This is not about working harder or being smarter. It is about understanding a simple truth. Action creates confidence. Action creates clarity. And action creates results. When you act, you separate yourself from the crowd that only talks, waits, and hopes. Life does not respond to intelligence alone. It responds to movement. If you are ready to stop waiting, stop overthinking, and start taking responsibility for where you are headed, then listen closely. This is about becoming a person who acts. Let's begin. Number 1, move first. Figure it out later. Action has always been the doorway to clarity. Waiting to understand everything before you begin is one of the most common traps people fall into. They tell themselves they need more information, more confidence, more certainty. But life does not reward preparation without movement. It responds to initiative. The moment you move, even with doubts in your mind, you step into a different category of people. The ones who are actually living, not just thinking. Clarity does not arrive while you sit still. It shows up while you are in motion. When you take the first step, the second step becomes visible. When you make the call, send the message, start the work, answers begin to appear. You don't figure life out in advance, you figure it out along the way. Every meaningful change in your life began the same way, not with certainty, but with a decision to act. Too many people delay their future by waiting to feel ready. They want confidence before they act, not realizing that confidence is the reward for action, not the requirement. You don't gain belief by thinking about winning. You gain belief by stepping into the arena and staying there. Action teaches lessons no book, no plan, and no conversation ever can. Experience sharpens you. Movement matures you. Think about how life actually works. When you move first, you force yourself to adapt. You discover what matters and what doesn't. You stop imagining problems and start dealing with real ones. Action strips away illusion. It shows you where you are weak and where you are capable. That feedback is priceless, and it only comes to those who are willing to begin before everything makes sense. Moving first also builds momentum. Small steps taken today make tomorrow easier. Hesitation, on the other hand, multiplies fear. The longer you wait, the heavier the decision feels. Action lightens the load. One move creates energy, and energy creates courage. Soon, what once felt intimidating starts to feel familiar. This does not mean reckless behavior. It means decisive behavior. It means understanding that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. Life respects those who are willing to start with what they have, where they are, and improve as they go. Waiting for the perfect moment is a quiet way of saying no to yourself. So move. Take the step. Start before you feel ready. You will not have all the answers, but you will gain something far more valuable: direction. And once you are moving, life has no choice but to respond. Number 2, stop collecting knowledge. Start using it. Knowledge was never meant to sit quietly in your mind. It was meant to be applied, tested, and turned into results. Yet many people spend years collecting information as if learning alone will change their lives. They read another book, watch another video, attend another seminar, and still remain in the same place. Not because they lack intelligence, but because they refuse to turn knowledge into action. Information feels productive. It gives the illusion of progress. You feel smarter, more prepared, more aware. But awareness without movement produces nothing. Life does not reward what you know, It rewards what you use. A small idea acted upon will always outperform a library of unused knowledge. Action gives knowledge a purpose. Without action, it becomes mental clutter. There comes a point when learning more becomes a form of delay. You already know enough to take the first step. You know what needs to change. You know which habits are hurting you and which actions could move you forward. Yet instead of acting, you keep searching for the perfect method, the perfect plan, the perfect insight. In doing so, you trade progress for comfort. You stay busy, but you don't move. Using knowledge is uncomfortable because it exposes you. When you apply what you know, results speak back to you. Sometimes they confirm you are on the right path. Other times they show you where you are wrong. That feedback can bruise the ego, but it sharpens the mind. Knowledge protected from action stays weak. Knowledge tested by experience becomes wisdom. Think about how mastery is actually built. It is not built by memorizing ideas. It is built by repetition and correction. You learn by doing, adjusting, and doing again. Action turns theory into skill. The moment you apply what you know, you step out of the classroom and into life itself. That is where real education begins. Another trap of collecting knowledge is waiting to feel fully ready. But readiness is not a feeling, it is a decision. You don't need to know everything to start. You only need to know the next step. Take that step, and the next one will reveal itself. Each action refines your understanding. Each attempt teaches you something new. Stop asking, what else do I need to learn? And start asking, what can I apply today? Use the information you already have. Test it, work with it. Let it fail if it must. Progress belongs to those who are willing to learn in public, not those who hide behind preparation. The world is full of educated people who never moved, and full of movers who learned along the way. Decide which one you will be. Knowledge becomes power only when it is used. Until then, it is just weight you carry around in your mind. Put it to work and watch how life begins to respond. Number 3, act before motivation shows up. Motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes like the weather. And if you wait for it to arrive before you act, you will spend most of your life standing still. Too many people believe motivation is the starting point, when in truth, it is the byproduct. Action comes first, motivation follows. Life moves forward when you decide to move, not when you feel inspired to do so. Waiting for motivation is comfortable because it removes responsibility. It allows you to say, I'll start when I feel ready, instead of admitting that action feels uncomfortable right now. But growth has never cared about comfort. Progress begins the moment you act despite resistance. The first step is rarely fueled by excitement. It is fueled by decision. Think about how momentum actually works. The hardest part is always the beginning. Getting started requires effort without reward. There is no applause, no certainty, no guarantee. But once you take action, something changes inside you. Energy builds, focus sharpens, confidence begins to form. Motivation shows up late to the party, but it always follows movement. Action creates emotional fuel. When you do something small, make the call, write the first page, start the task, you prove to yourself that you are capable. That proof matters. It quiets doubt. It weakens fear. Each action sends a signal to your mind that you are serious. Motivation grows from evidence, not intention. Relying on motivation is dangerous because emotions are unstable. Some days you wake up driven, other days you don't. If your progress depends on how you feel, your results will always be inconsistent. Discipline, on the other hand, does not negotiate. It moves forward regardless of mood. Acting without motivation trains discipline, and discipline builds freedom. There is also a hidden benefit to acting early. When you begin before motivation appears, you gain control. You stop being a passenger to your emotions and become the driver of your behavior. You learn that feelings do not have authority over action. Action shapes feelings, not the other way around. This realization alone can change the trajectory of a life. Many people confuse motivation with passion. They believe they must feel deeply inspired to begin. But passion often develops after commitment, not before it. Interest grows through involvement. Pride grows through effort. Purpose becomes clear through participation. You don't discover these things by waiting. You discover them by doing. If you want motivation, stop chasing it. Start working. Begin while it feels inconvenient. Begin while it feels dull. Begin while doubt is loud. Each step forward creates internal momentum. Soon what once felt heavy begins to feel natural. What once felt forced begins to feel aligned. Decide today that action comes first. Do not wait for a surge of energy or a perfect emotional state. Move anyway. Motivation will catch up to you, but only if you are already moving. Number 4, cut thinking time. Increase doing time. Thinking has its place, but too much thinking quietly steals your life. It convinces you that you are being careful, strategic, and responsible, while in reality you are delaying the work that could move you forward. Excessive thinking feels intelligent, but it produces nothing. Action produces results. The balance must shift from endless consideration to deliberate execution. Every major delay begins in the mind. You replay scenarios, imagine outcomes, and weigh possibilities until the moment loses its energy. The decision that once felt simple becomes heavy. Fear disguises itself as logic. Doubt dresses up as wisdom. Before you know it, the opportunity has passed. Not because you lacked ability, but because you thought too long and acted too late. Thinking is safest when it leads to action. But when thinking replaces action, it becomes avoidance. It keeps you in control without risk, but it also keeps you stagnant. Life does not reward those who avoid mistakes. It rewards those who learn from them. Learning requires movement. Movement requires doing. Notice how action simplifies things. When you start, many imagined problems disappear. The mind exaggerates difficulty when there is no real experience to correct it. Once you act, reality replaces speculation. You stop arguing with yourself and start dealing with facts. That alone clears mental clutter and sharpens focus. Reducing thinking time does not mean abandoning intelligence. It means setting limits. Decide quickly, then commit fully. Make thinking serve action, not sabotage it. Plan just enough to begin, then adjust as you go. Progress favors those who move early and refine later. Perfection belongs to those who never begin. Increasing doing time builds strength. Each action trains your ability to decide faster next time. Confidence grows not from endless evaluation, but from repeated execution. You begin to trust yourself because you have evidence that you can act, adapt, and continue. That trust is more valuable than any plan. Overthinking often stems from fear of being wrong. But being wrong is not the problem. Staying still is. Mistakes made in motion are useful. Mistakes made in hesitation are invisible and wasted. Action turns error into instruction. Thinking without action turns doubt into habit. Set a standard for yourself. When a decision appears, limit the time you allow your mind to debate it. Decide, then act. You will not always choose perfectly, but you will always move forward. Forward movement creates options. Standing still removes them. Life favors those who are willing to decide and act with imperfect information. Every step teaches you something that thinking alone never could. Cut the time you spend inside your head and increase the time you spend in motion. When doing becomes your default, progress stops being complicated and starts becoming inevitable. Number 5, build momentum with small, ugly actions. Progress rarely begins with something impressive. It begins with something small, awkward, and often uncomfortable. Many people delay action because they believe their first move must look confident, polished, and intelligent. That belief keeps them frozen. Momentum is not built through perfect starts. It is built through small, imperfect actions taken consistently. Small actions may feel insignificant, but they carry tremendous power. One simple step lowers resistance. One unfinished attempt breaks mental barriers. Once movement begins, momentum takes over. Action creates energy, and energy makes the next step easier. Waiting for a big breakthrough often leads nowhere. Starting small keeps you moving. Ugly action is honest action. It does not try to impress. It does not seek approval. It simply moves forward. When you allow yourself to act imperfectly, you remove the pressure that stops most people. You stop asking, "Will this look good?" and start asking, "Will this move me forward?" That shift changes everything. Momentum also silences doubt. Doubt thrives in stillness. When you are inactive, your mind fills the space with questions and fears. When you are active, there is no room for endless debate. Action gives your mind a job. It replaces uncertainty with direction. Even if the action is small, it creates a sense of progress, and progress builds belief. Consistency matters more than intensity. A single burst of effort followed by long pauses does not create momentum. Repeated small actions do. Each day you show up, even briefly, you strengthen the habit of moving. Over time, what once felt difficult becomes routine. What once required effort becomes automatic. Small actions also reduce fear of failure. When the step is small, the risk feels manageable. You are more willing to try. And when you try, you learn. Learning accumulates. Skill grows quietly through repetition, not through dramatic moments. Momentum is the result of showing up when motivation is low and conditions are imperfect. Many people wait for confidence to begin, but confidence is built through evidence. Each small action becomes proof that you can move, adjust, and continue. That proof compounds. Soon your belief in yourself no longer depends on thinking or encouragement. It depends on experience. Do not underestimate the power of starting poorly. A rough beginning is better than a perfect intention. The world is shaped by those who were willing to begin before they were ready. Progress does not ask for elegance. It asks for effort. Commit to small actions daily. Lower the standard for starting, but raise the standard for continuing. Momentum will do the rest. Once it is built, it carries you farther than intelligence ever could. Number 6, fail fast, adjust faster. Failure is not the opposite of progress. It is a sign that progress is underway. The only people who avoid failure completely are those who never step forward. Action exposes you to mistakes, and mistakes expose you to truth. When you move quickly, you learn quickly. When you hesitate, you remain uninformed. Failing fast does not mean acting carelessly. It means acting decisively and learning immediately. Instead of waiting months to discover what does not work, you find out early. That knowledge saves time. It sharpens judgment. It directs your energy toward what actually produces results. Speed in learning matters more than avoiding error. Many people fear failure because they associate it with judgment. They imagine what others might think, what it might say about their ability, or how it might damage their image. But failure is not a verdict on your worth. It is feedback on your approach. When you remove emotion from the outcome, failure becomes useful rather than painful. Adjusting faster is where growth happens. Action without reflection repeats mistakes. Reflection without action creates stagnation. The power lies in combining both. Act, observe the result, make a small correction, and act again. This cycle builds skill faster than any plan ever could. Each adjustment brings you closer to effectiveness. Failure also strips away illusion. Ideas sound perfect in the mind, but reality tests them honestly. When something does not work, it shows you what needs refinement. That honesty is a gift. Those who embrace it move forward. Those who resist it remain stuck defending ideas instead of improving them. Quick adjustment builds resilience. When you learn to recover fast, setbacks lose their power. You stop fearing mistakes because you trust your ability to respond. Confidence grows not from success alone, but from knowing you can handle difficulty. That confidence is earned through repeated cycles of action and adjustment. There is a danger in slow failure. When you wait too long to act, you invest too much emotion in the outcome. A single setback then feels devastating. Acting sooner keeps expectations light and learning sharp. You stay flexible. You stay engaged. You remain willing to continue. Progress belongs to those who are willing to be wrong briefly in order to be right eventually. Every adjustment improves your direction. Every failure shortens the distance between where you are and where you want to be. What matters is not avoiding mistakes, but responding to them quickly and intelligently. Fail fast, learn faster, adjust faster. Life rewards those who treat failure as information and use it immediately. When you adopt this mindset, action becomes less frightening and progress becomes inevitable. Number 7, solve one real problem every day. Progress becomes simple when you focus on usefulness. Life does not move forward through grand intentions or clever thoughts, but through solving real problems. Every day presents challenges that need attention, effort, and action. When you make it your habit to solve at least one real problem daily, you build value, confidence, and momentum at the same time. A real problem is something concrete. It affects your work, your health, your relationships, or your growth. It is not imagined. It is not theoretical. It is something that improves life when addressed. Solving these problems forces you to act. It pulls you out of overthinking and into contribution. Problem solving sharpens focus. When you concentrate on fixing something specific, distractions lose their grip. You stop worrying about everything and start dealing with one thing. That clarity creates momentum. One solved problem makes the next one easier to face. Action becomes practical instead of emotional. Value is created through usefulness. People who advance in life are not necessarily the smartest in the room. They are the most helpful. They notice what needs fixing and take responsibility for it. Each problem solved increases your relevance. Each solution strengthens your position. The world responds to those who reduce friction and create order. Solving problems also builds competence. Every time you work through an issue, you develop skills. You learn how to think clearly under pressure, how to make decisions, and how to follow through. These abilities grow through use, not study alone. Action turns challenges into training. Another benefit of daily problem solving is confidence. When you consistently fix things, you begin to trust yourself. You know that no matter what arises, you can respond. That belief does not come from affirmations or thinking, it comes from evidence. You have solved problems before and you will solve them again. This habit also keeps you grounded. Instead of chasing abstract success, you focus on what is directly in front of you. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You work with what you have. Over time, these small acts of responsibility compound into significant progress. Many people feel stuck because they look at their life as one overwhelming problem. Break it down. Ask yourself one simple question each day. What can I solve right now? Then do it. The size of the problem does not matter. Action does. Make yourself useful daily. Solve something that matters. Fix what is broken. Improve what is weak. Progress is built one solution at a time. When you adopt this approach, action becomes purposeful, and life begins to reward you for it. Number 8, prove confidence through action, not words. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many people believe it is something you declare, something you talk yourself into, or something others must see in you. But confidence is not built through speech. It is built through behavior. What you do consistently speaks louder than what you say you believe. Words are easy. Anyone can claim confidence, ambition, or strength. Action is harder because it leaves evidence. When you act, results speak back to you. They either confirm your ability or reveal what needs work. Both outcomes build real confidence. Talking, on the other hand, keeps confidence imaginary. Action-based confidence is quiet. It does not need announcement or approval. It shows up in reliability, follow-through, and calm decision-making. When you have a history of acting despite discomfort, you trust yourself. That trust removes the need to prove anything verbally. Many people talk more when they feel unsure. They explain their plans, defend their intentions, and seek reassurance. This habit drains energy and delays progress. Confidence grows when you replace explanation with execution. Let results communicate on your behalf. Action also trains emotional control. When you repeatedly take action in uncertain situations, fear loses its authority. You learn that anxiety does not prevent movement. You discover that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act alongside it. Each action reinforces that lesson. There is a difference between appearance and substance. Appearing confident may impress briefly, but substance lasts. Substance is built by doing the work, showing up on time, and finishing what you start. These behaviors create internal strength. Over time, your presence changes without effort. People feel it. Confidence built through action is resilient. It does not collapse under criticism or uncertainty. It is rooted in experience. You have faced challenges before, taken action, and survived. That knowledge stabilizes you. It allows you to move forward without constant validation. Another benefit of action-based confidence is clarity. When you act, you quickly see what works and what does not. That clarity reduces hesitation. Decisions become easier. You are no longer guessing, you are responding to reality. Stop trying to sound confident. Start acting decisively. Let your actions be consistent, not dramatic. Let progress replace promises. Over time, confidence will stop being something you seek and become something you embody. Life responds to those who prove themselves through action, not words. Number 9, force life to respond by taking initiative. Life does not chase those who wait. It responds to movement. When you take initiative, you step out of the passive role and into control. Opportunities do not appear for people who sit back and hope. They show up for those who move first and make themselves visible through action. Initiative is a signal. It tells life that you are serious, engaged, and willing to participate. When you act without being asked, doors begin to open. People notice. Circumstances shift. Momentum builds. Life reacts to effort the same way gravity reacts to motion. It follows direction. Waiting creates invisibility. When you hesitate, you blend into the background. No matter how capable you are, inaction hides your ability. Initiative brings you forward. It places you where things are happening. Even small acts of initiative change your position. They move you from observer to participant. Taking initiative also builds independence. You stop waiting for permission, approval, or perfect conditions. You accept responsibility for progress. This mindset strengthens self-respect. You know that your future is shaped by your decisions, not by chance. That awareness changes how you carry yourself. Initiative requires courage because outcomes are uncertain. But uncertainty is unavoidable. Waiting does not remove risk. It only delays growth. Action shortens uncertainty by providing answers. Once you act, you learn what is possible. That knowledge empowers the next decision. Another advantage of initiative is momentum. When you begin something even imperfectly, it creates forward motion. That motion attracts support. Resources appear. Conversations happen. Solutions emerge. Life responds when it sees commitment in action. Those who take initiative also gain influence. People follow those who act. Leadership is not a title. It is behavior. When you step forward, others trust your direction. Influence grows through consistent initiative, not through intention alone. There is a moment each day when initiative matters. A task that needs starting. A problem that needs solving. A step that needs taking. Choose to act in that moment. Do not wait. Movement compounds. Small acts of initiative repeated over time create large shifts. Life respects decisiveness. When you take initiative, you force life to engage with you. You stop being carried by circumstances and start shaping them. Progress belongs to those who move first. Take initiative and life will respond. Number 10. Decide to live as a person who acts daily. Everything changes when action becomes part of your identity. Occasional effort produces occasional results. But daily action shapes a life. The most powerful decision you can make is not about a single goal, but about who you choose to be. When you decide to live as a person who acts every day, progress stops depending on motivation, mood, or circumstances. Identity drives behavior. If you see yourself as someone who waits, hesitates, and overthinks, your actions will reflect that. But when you decide that you are a person who moves, who follows through, and who takes responsibility, your behavior begins to align naturally. Action becomes normal, not forced. Daily action does not require dramatic effort. It requires commitment. Small steps taken consistently outperform rare bursts of intensity. When action becomes habitual, resistance weakens. You no longer argue with yourself. You simply do what needs to be done. That simplicity creates freedom. Living as a person of action builds self-respect. Each day you keep your word to yourself. You strengthen trust within. That trust becomes the foundation of confidence. You no longer rely on encouragement or validation. You rely on evidence. You know who you are because of what you do. This identity also changes how you respond to obstacles. Challenges no longer stop you. They signal the next action. You stop asking, "Should I act?" and start asking, "What is the next step?" This shift keeps you moving even when conditions are imperfect. Consistency compounds quietly. Daily action may feel ordinary, but its effects are extraordinary over time. Skills improve, opportunities expand, confidence deepens. Life begins to reflect the effort you invest. Action shapes reality more reliably than intelligence ever could. Deciding to act daily also removes regret. You no longer look back wishing you had started sooner. Each day becomes an opportunity to move forward, even slightly. Progress becomes a habit rather than a struggle. Make this decision final. Choose to act, not occasionally, but consistently. Let action define you. Let movement replace hesitation. When action becomes who you are, life has no choice but to respond. Life never asked how intelligent you were. It never paused to measure your potential, your ideas, or your intentions. Life only responded to what you did. Every chapter of progress, every meaningful change, every breakthrough that mattered began with action. Not perfect action, not confident action, just action. You have seen this truth repeated again and again. Thinking without movement leads nowhere. Knowledge without application stays powerless. Motivation without discipline fades, but action, consistent, imperfect, uncomfortable action creates momentum. It creates clarity. It creates confidence. Most importantly, it creates results. The difference between people who move forward and people who stay stuck is not talent. It is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is the decision to act when it would be easier to wait, to move when fear is present, to begin before everything makes sense. Life rewards those who are willing to step forward without guarantees. Action simplifies life. It cuts through doubt. It turns confusion into feedback and fear into experience. When you act, you stop imagining outcomes and start shaping them. You stop hoping for change and start creating it. Progress stops being a mystery and becomes a process. This is not about rushing blindly or ignoring thought altogether. It is about understanding the proper order. Think briefly, decide clearly, act immediately, adjust honestly, repeat daily. That rhythm builds a life of movement instead of hesitation. From this moment on, measure your days not by how much you think, but by how much you do. Ask yourself one honest question every morning. What action will I take today? Then take it, even if it is small, especially if it is uncomfortable. Small actions, repeated daily, reshape destiny. Intelligence is only useful when it serves action. Without movement, it becomes a burden. With action, it becomes a tool. Decide today to stop waiting, stop overthinking, and stop postponing your life. Become a person who acts daily, deliberately, and without excuses. Life will not reward your thoughts. It will reward your steps. And the moment you choose action, everything begins to change.